All things spiritual. Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Choose Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Hi.
What is up, Mary Amy? How are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome, everyone, to Two Psychics, episode 46. Tonight, it's all about wellness, and we have a wonderful guest, Grace Giuliano Pisciotta, and she is an intuitive. She does Reiki, she does crystals, and I'll get into that. How are you, Michael? What's new? What's going on since we last spoke?
I am doing very well. I apologize if my voice is a little froggy tonight. I had a large event yesterday, last night, so I was talking quite a bit. And I can talk a lot.
Again, and
So
I'm suffering too, and how am I going to do this? But you know what? You got to keep going. The show must go on, right?
yes, it
You got to
must.
keep
It
moving
must.
towards the goal, towards your destiny.
Yeah, so it's funny talking about wellness. I guess we'll talk initially about throat wellness. Throat wellness, I can tell you, pure honey lozenges are fantastic if you have a sore throat or a froggy throat. So I am enjoying my honey lozenger, my tea, and my nice, you like that? Look at my nice mug. So my hot tea and my lozenges, and I think I'll be good. But yes, holistic wellness. So interesting. I think that's kind of the theme of tonight's show, and tonight's guest has a lot of expertise in the area of holistic wellness. One aspect of holistic wellness that I think is overlooked a lot is tapping into our creative energies. So whether like painting, writing a book, all those creative endeavors,
Mhm.
and with me music, but not just those type of things, even getting into the zone by building, some people doing needlework, or even architects designing buildings and planning. A lot of that stuff puts you into the zone. And one connecting energy link that I've seen between a lot of my clients, and even a little bit of the energy that I find flowing through different events I'm doing, is there seems to be a lot of uncertainty of where are things going, but not necessarily things on a whole. A lot of people are looking at on not just the macro level, but they're looking at it on the micro level. So people want to know, hey, in this type of transition, in this type of energy cycle, how can I manifest this? Or I really truly feel like my soul is calling me to do this. How do I get started? And the one thing is, I think people overthink it. And I think it's as simple as just getting back to your creative passion, whatever that may have been, as a child, and think about those things that really caught your interest, that really drew your attention in. And you could just be enamored in the energy of it for hours. What, like you, I'm sure when you were painting some of your pictures, or writing the book, and Mary Amy is very close, right? That book's coming along. But these creative endeavors, they put us in the zone, and by going into that zone, I truly think that's where you need to be if your soul's calling you to do something, or you have a passion, but you're not really sure. And I think if we can kind of ground it and tune into that energy, the way will present itself. So sometimes we overthink, or we feel we have to have it over figured out, have it all figured out. I think if we can let go of trying to control and harness that energy and allow it to flow naturally, get in that flow state, and allow that creative energy, that divine energy to flow through us, that's where it's going to happen. That's where the spark is going to ignite. So I think that's the biggest thing. Connect to your creative outlet of whatever that is. And most of us get caught up in the day to day to do list priorities, and we lose that, or we don't have time for it. It's absolutely essential to get back to that and make sure you make time for it. It doesn't have to be much. It could just be sketching a couple minutes a day, writing out your thoughts, writing a chapter, writing a paragraph of a chapter. So you can keep it simple and just start. That would definitely be one of the underlying things, I think, to mental wellness, and that mental wellness trickles down into the physical wellness, and the spiritual wellness kind of intertwines between all of it.
I have to tell you a couple of things, and I'll get into what I have about the wellness. I've been sharing with everyone here, our viewers, our listeners, that I've been working on this book. It's called Miracle Healing Continuum. And um and I've outlined the chapters, and I'm getting through the chapters, and then I'm going back and revamping. And this is the first time that I've actually pursued writing a full like a book. I did a dream journal, which was more or less just an introduction with some room for entries, 100 entries. I wrote a little tiny spiritual guide under when I had the name Blue Butterfly when I first started doing this. And then I did a children's book. But this is a full-on book. And I have to tell you, what's coming up is I'll go on a walk, and getting in touch with nature. I am, I guess it's almost like a meditative state for me, because my mind starts to open up, and I guess the nature helps me relieve some of my past. And and let me tell you, it's not easy to tell the truth about yourself, about being like really frank about what's happened in your life, because you're exposing yourself and you're vulnerable. And then
Yeah.
you say, what if people don't like it, or then they criticize? Like, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm writing this morning, and I'm talking about the fact that I didn't graduate college, I got married, I had a child, and I had a child at 21. And I'm saying to myself, like, oh my gosh, people are going to say, like, what makes you think you could write a book if you haven't even graduated college? It's not like I'm an Ivy League, um, persona. I don't have this huge education. And a lot of people walk around with master's degrees. So there's a lot of allowing myself to be me. And I have to say that in regard to everyone out there, what I would say is try to not focus on what everyone else is thinking when you're doing something creative, because then it will stifle what you're doing. It's not going to be as good, because at the end of the day, I believe that me writing the truth is going to be more relatable than me hiding something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just a side note, some of the most brilliant minds in the world, never mind graduating college, some of them didn't even graduate high school. Just a side note. And it's pretty amazing when you really look at people. And the other thing too is I think a lot of people limit themselves with age, which I can truly say, I think you too, like age is just a number and it's a mindset thing. And the most amazing thing when you look at certain people, I mean, take okay, a famous brand of like Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Colonel, his recipe didn't break till I think he was 60 or 62 years old and created this billion-dollar empire with chicken, and it didn't happen until he was in his 60s. So it's crazy when we think about these things. Even a lot of people that break into just different varying industries, when you hear their story or you hear what they've done, sometimes it hasn't been until that chapter after, that later chapter in life after they've gotten that experience and that wisdom, under their belt and help them navigate and how they needed to navigate, so it's interesting. But yeah, I think society and the way we're raised and the expectations and the education system kind of puts those self-limiting beliefs on us, as a society. Everyone, I think, gets caught in that trap, and part of it is, yeah, breaking through that, and it's a process.
Yeah, the truth will set us free.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So over the weekend, last weekend, I went to this party, and it was an event for my boyfriend's nephew. And I met all these people that I had never met before. And it was so funny, because these women would come up to me and ask me the same round of questions related to what we do. Do you
That's fun.
are you a palm reader? Do you do tarot cards? What can you do? How do you do it? And then I was like, oh my God. And it was a lot of talking, which I'm not used to doing. I just do a lot. I isolate myself a lot. And unless I have to, I don't go out into crowds of people. I don't go out I'm not out there. Most of the time I like to kind of hunker down at home and do something creative. So I wasn't used to it. And it was funny because it reminded me, I don't know if you've done this, I did take a class in tarot cards when I first started becoming an intuitive and I got certified. And I was pretty good at it. Uh, but I just found that it was like a prop. It was, it's not necessary. It's a prop. I mean, although, look, I think it's a great thing. I want to get Psychic Evelyn from Scotland. She has cards. I know Laura Faye has cards. It's just not something that like I want to utilize. Have you
Well,
ever done tarot cards?
no, you know what? I've had some really interesting experience with tarot cards, and it wasn't necessarily my deck. I have decks just for my own use and fun, and when I'm working with students and I'm trying to teach them psychic exercises, a lot of times we'll use the deck, or different varying decks. See, the problem with the deck, what I find with a lot of readers is sometimes they start putting I it's almost like they put all their trust in the cards, and rather than being the conduit and just allowing the cards to kind of pick up the emotions of the sitter, pick up some of the energy that's imprinted in it, sometimes they start relying on it too much. And for me, the best thing is getting the pure information. For me, I believe if I'm using some kind of tool or technique, it's more for study or training or trying to teach somebody. But I think for a lot of people, when when they're not like an active medium and you're not used to that overwhelming level of energy coming at you in all different ways, I mean, you really have to train yourself to be ready for that, especially a gallery when you may have several hundred souls. Sometimes it could be thousands of souls trying to break the barrier, trying to break that energetic plane. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can be very overwhelmed by it. And I think that's why a lot of times people are fearful of it. It's not to be fearful. It's not to be feared of. It's actually something very beautiful and divine, but it can feel very overwhelming. And it can almost be like an energetic drowning is the only way I can describe it. Before I really understood it, it was almost like I was the energy was suffocating me in a sense, and I had to learn to work through that energy. Once I learned to work through it, I saw how empowering it could be, and it shifted and changed everything, literally every aspect of it. But a lot of times, you're dealing in the cards depending on how well practiced someone is with the decks they're using or the deck they're using. You could pick up a lot of emotional energy in that. You could pick up a lot of the sitter's energy. So there are some like psychic variables around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some people that just totally depend on the cards. I think, it's a tool like anything else. But I think when you want to do what I'm doing, the cards, it would almost be a disservice to what it is, because with the cards, I can't bring through very specific names and dates and the evidence. And for me, as cool as the cards are, I wouldn't bring them into one of my readings unless it was like for myself or a friend, and we kind of knew the deck, and they wanted the card reading and more of a novelty thing. But granted, there are some people that are phenomenal with it. I could tell you, I had used a tarot deck that was from someone that worked with it, very fluently and got really accurate information out of it. And when I imprinted my energy on this deck and started using it, I literally did a layout of everything that transpired in 2020.
Wow.
And it scared the crap out of me. And it was just like, woo. So I can tell you can really pull very accurate information from that.
Yeah.
But I think you already have to be very, very established in the energy you're working with to get that energy imprinted on the cards, because that's really what it is. The energy is imprinting on the cards, and you're reading that, and it can bring some cool insight and guidance. I like that as far as a tool when you're practicing and you're working, but you can just use a regular deck, and we've talked about that, looking at what type of symbol is it, what is the number, what's the color, and those things are the basis of understanding our psychic energy and how it feels in us. And that's, I think, what a lot of people don't understand. You're not just getting these pieces of information imprinted, whether you're hearing it or you're seeing it, in your mind's eye. You're really developing an energy and a sensation of that transition. And you're starting to learn a language. And not only are you getting that psychic insight, but your body, in a sense, is becoming a compass or like the Geiger counter, and you're starting to learn that energy and what it feels like. So I can tell you, when someone sits in front of me, I immediately know energy that steps in is either connected to their mother's side or their father's side, and I can usually see where in line they are of like age and where they passed around that person, so whether they're younger or older, and it's how they come into me and what part of my body starts vibrating, and I get a certain sensation, almost like pins and needles. And I've developed that, and I had to develop that with them, and it was deep meditations and working this process and procedures and trying it out and testing it, and it can be done, absolutely. But that's what I want. I want the evidence. I want to bring through the names and the dates and the pieces of knowledge and information
You don't
to
need
show
it.
people. Yeah, to show people life after death is, it's just the body dies, the soul doesn't.
You don't need it. See, I think
Yeah.
that it's what, like, everyone has their own style in this, under these modalities. And some people, it really resonates with them and it's like
Mm.
part of it and they do it and it really works for them. And then,
Yeah.
and I thought it was fun and it was, I really, what I was getting was in the cards. So I didn't really feel like I needed the cards,
Mm.
but other people have like a whole other view of it and they're I mean they're really schooled in it and they realize or maybe they grew up around it, but it was interesting because out there in the public it's like, do you read palms? Like they almost want the old time gypsy. They
Well,
don't.
and I think there's a reason why certain very ancient traditions have carried through. And obviously, the original like tarot cards or just using a regular deck of playing cards is something very long. It has very long, old, ancient Indian lineage. Indian. We look at ancient. We look at we look at all cultures and they had something. Even look at like runestones. When we look at like the Vikings. They had basically, if you look at runestones and you think of the old Norse cultures, like they were utilizing that. And then you saw, different Persian, like if you look at the most ancient culture that they say basically established all of current humanity, we look at ancient Persia, which is now, if we're looking in, the Middle East area. And it's amazing some of the ancient texts that they found, and they could see they were using some type of, almost like a wooden card, and then that transitioned into, paper and different things. But this is stuff that's been around for a long time. And I think there's reasons for that. Even palm reading, that's something that goes back through my like Hungarian gypsy lineage. And it's interesting. And it's something I've always found fascinating. And as a young child, probably 10, 12 years old, I had my palm read by a very well versed gypsy. And what's amazing is literally told me gave me like a 20-year span of what was going to happen in my life by my lines, and what had happened in previous lines and different characteristics and personality traits. And it was pretty accurate, for someone just looking at my hand and looking at whatever they understood about that. It was, it was pretty informative of who I was, what my personality was. And it's interesting because a lot of my life path and what was important to me and how things had unfolded, she saw it in my palm. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to this stuff. And I think what happens is, people get caught up with one type of tool. And sometimes that kind of closes them off to other opportunities to learn and grow spiritually. So that's what I say is learn about all of it, understand it, utilize what resonates with you. And if it doesn't, move on to something else, and because this really is a personal journey. So that's what I think, if it resonates with you, whether it's, the cards or a rune stones or whatever that may be, try to look at it and try to look at it how it was used authentically through ages of time, and how can you incorporate that into what you're doing now or learn from it. All a tool.
Yeah,
and we're
we
and
all
we're
have,
we're eternal students.
all have psychic abilities. Okay, so
Yeah,
Grace
yeah.
is going to be coming on, so I'm going to just cover what I have on wellness and then give you a little explanation of her work, and then we'll bring her out.
Mm.
Okay. All right. So I have wellness is balanced well-being. It's your quality of life and good health. Wellness, spiritual wellness entails living healthy mind, body, spirit, living with balance, and that includes meditation, activity, healthy eating, sleep, barefoot on the earth, personal boundaries, and gratitude. Your personal transformation, the life that you want, your intention and purpose. Physical well-being, eating what, where, when, how. Moods and emotions equals strength and mind vitality. How to achieve wellness includes physical activity, joy and pleasure, outdoors, fresh air, getting enough sleep and rest, and now accept and release emotions and suppressed feelings, understanding your emotions, self-reflection, observing, listening, communication, and paying attention. It's about self-discovery, embracing yourself, joy and self-love, and having a purpose. What is your life? Mind, body, spirit. That's what I got. Okay, so who is Grace? Well, you can reach Grace. I'm going to bring her out. And I hope I can figure this out now that I put her in the waiting room. You can find Grace at gracespiration.com, which is GRACESPIRATION.com. And you can find it on the description for this video and this show. So Grace is a passionate energy healer and driving force behind Grace Inspiration. She offers intuitive guidance with energy talks, Reiki healing, crystal deviation, massage, and raindrop therapy using natural essential oils. With a deep commitment to holistic wellness, she helps individuals find balance, clarity, and healing through personalized sessions and spiritually inspired creations. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Beyond her work, she is blessed to be married for 40 years to the love of her life and cherishes her role as a devoted mother to 4 children and proud grandmother of 5. She is a loving aunt to her nieces and nephews and dedicated to guiding others on their spiritual journeys. She combines intuitive energy work, meaningful symbolism to empower transformation, healing, and personal growth. Okay, so let's bring her out. And how am I going to bring her out? How do I do this? Let's see, admit. Coming on. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Grace. How are you?
Good. Mary, Amy, it's such a pleasure to see you again. And Michael, I'm so happy to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you and I've been watching your podcasts, but I
Excellent.
didn't have the pleasure of meeting you in person.
Absolutely. Likewise. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you heard, I don't know if you can see, but I just did a little explanation of your background.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. So I
okay.
basically took your bio because I wanted everyone to have like some kind of outline of who you are. So I met Grace. I went to an Awaken Wellness Fair, which is where I originally met Michael in 2015.
Oh, how interesting.
I was walking around and I was drawn to you. And I knew right away that you were a person with a pure heart. I can still remember that moment, and you had like a lot of glow about you, and you were very sincere. And
yeah, and I recall when you came over to me and said the beautiful things you said and touched my hand, I started to cry a little bit because I knew you had read my heart, and I'm in this to help so many people. And that's exactly what my message always is. If I can help one person, and I'd love to help thousands, that's why I started this whole journey. And I was just so touched that you saw that. So that was wonderful. I loved it. I loved that day. It was just wonderful meeting you.
Immediately saw that. So I know that, you're a great person for people to find. Now, your work online, I know Michael has a question. So
Yeah.
start with your question, Michael, before I start getting into all her different avenues that she's taken.
Which ones? I have a couple questions, so I might have you lead off with this one.
Okay, me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Grace, what I'm curious about, because I don't know, some of what you do, I'm not really familiar with.
Okay.
I am curious about what crystal divination is.
Okay. So what crystal divination is actually taking crystals that I feel I am drawn to for the person that is in that session. There are certain crystals that give off energy for maybe the workplace or someone's romantic relationship, but it's also about the feelings and emotions they need to bring to that situation. So a crystal divination is intuitively guided, and I basically just close my eyes and draw a grid, and sometimes names come up and sometimes dates come up, and then I will place the crystals where I believe they need to be, and then we'll have a conversation about it, and someone will say, hey, oh my God, how did you know that person is in my life, or that's what. So it's just something, it's just another way of moving energy around, and I was just always so interested in crystals, and they actually speak to me. So I meditated before we signed on, as I always do, and I was drawn to crystals for both of you. So it's funny that you should open with that question. For you, Mary, I just thought like lapis lazuli, you need to have this blue crystal with you all the time. It's for your third eye and to keep you balanced in all those avenues for your self-awareness, because I think when we're healers, sometimes we forget the rest of who we are. But I saw that very strongly for you. So lapis lazuli would
How do you
do.
spell that? Because I'm going to go get it.
Yes, lapis is Lapis, lazuli, Lazuli.
I've heard of that.
Yes,
So
very
excited. I
powerful.
love it.
Yeah,
I put little crystals here. I have around my home, I have buckets. I have thousands of these six stones, because I had created this book, Earthly and the Gemstones, and these were the six crystals or six gemstones. And I had little sacks made, and you bought the book and you bought the
that's
stone.
wonderful.
But then I found that it was just too difficult to try
Yeah,
to do that. You sell it on Amazon. Like, how is
yeah.
that?
Products sometimes can be a little difficult, but that's a great idea. I love that it coincides with the book.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
well,
wonderful.
he gets, each one represents a different virtue: love,
Yeah.
peace, nature, wisdom, spirituality, and vision.
Okay.
So
And what
I'm just
crystals are they? It's hard for me to see from over here. What crystals do you have over there? Do you have carnelian?
like a raw. Here's a raw.
Okay. A selenite or a
Right.
clear crystal?
That's a crystal quartz. This is
Yes.
amazonite.
Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of amazonite right here.
Amethyst,
Uh-huh.
um, black obsidian,
Which is great for negative energy.
carnelian,
Yeah, the carnelian is wonderful. I spouted that one right away. That's perfect for you as well.
and the love gem,
Yeah,
rose quartz.
those are great. Yeah. Love gem. I always like to add that as self-love gem, because to me, the rose quartz is about our self-love. And if we are about loving ourselves, we become love, and that's all we admit out to the world. And then people respond to each other in that loving way. So for me, a rose quartz is always self-love. And I'm going to talk about something that I do with rose quartz later. But Michael, for you, I just saw a tiger's eye everywhere, because
Okay.
tiger's eye is a protective stone. And I'm sure you guys know a lot about crystals as well. But it enhances your self-confidence. And I also kept hearing protection for you when you travel. I don't know if you travel a lot with what you do, but I feel like sometimes when you travel and you do what you do, the psychic readings, people may get like self-defense feelings about what you say if they don't believe what you say, and that could create some negative energy around you. So that's all I heard for you, is that you need to always carry a tiger's eye to protect yourself, as well as promote your self-confidence and keep that negative energy at bay. So I don't know if
Cool.
you, yeah. So that's the crystal for
Appreciate
you. Yeah.
it. I'll have to get a nice tiger stone,
Yeah, of course.
put it with my other stuff here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can never have enough crystals, according to me.
Absolutely. No, so Grace, it's a pleasure having you here. And I just wanted Mary Amy to start off because you two have met prior. Obviously, this is
Yeah.
our first time meeting.
Mhm.
But one thing that always fascinates me with the healer's journey, and obviously, like us, you're also a healer and being called to do this work. I always want to know the why. What was the transition? What
Oh,
was that switch? What was that crossroad?
yeah.
What
I
brought you
mean,
to where you are now?
I can never say it was a switch, because I feel like my healing journey, my spiritual waking, I can't remember a time that I wasn't on it.
Well,
And I
cool.
don't mean that, oh, as a child, I remember this happening. I just look back and know the kind of person I was as a child and then into adulthood. And as a child, I was very empathic, and I knew that I could sense people's energy, and I thought everybody could.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I observed the way people would interact with each other, and I didn't understand that they didn't feel someone's emotion, like why are they speaking to them that way? Can't they sense they're not comfortable with that? And then as I got older, I started to experience what that felt like, being in a room with people, and knowing, hey, I don't want to be near that energy, or I love that energy. I want to come closer to it. I can actually feel it. So as I got a little older, maybe go back about 20 years, I started to implement energy and say, okay, if I'm experiencing this, can I project this type of energy, meaning healing, love, to someone in a room if I'm just sitting next to them or I just touch their hand? And I would find that I could. People would just say to me, hey, when I'm next to you, I just feel great about myself. I feel like I want to tell you my life story. My daughter used to say, why do people want to tell you their whole life story when they're with you? And I think it's because they started to implement the energy and experiment with it. Um, and then my life, I had four major losses in my life of family members, my aunt, my dad, my cousin, and most recently my mom. And after each loss, I felt my vibration going higher because in the pain, I received a gift with each one. And what those gifts were basically different healing modalities that I was bringing to me, but now I realized I could bring out to other people. Um, for my aunt, it was the first time that I recognized what an energy talk was. That's one of my services on my website. And an energy talk is basically what we talked about, sitting near someone and letting them feel your energy. But at the same time, I am intuitively guided to say, hey, this is what's going on with you, what I think you need to work on. And people will often say to me, how did you know that? I didn't say anything yet, but I discovered that in sitting next to my aunt for 4 months when she was gravely ill. She was in hospice care, and I would sit with her every day. And it was just about that interaction. And she'd say, when you're here, I feel so much better. I know I'm dying and I know I have cancer and I'm sick, but there's something about the energy that comes from you in our conversations. And granted, she was my aunt my whole life. I was 40 years old. She was 75. We've talked about everything in life, but there was something about those 4 months that we went deep and we talked about spirituality. And she finally was comfortable in a place in her life, which was death was coming. And she said, you make me feel comfortable to accept what is in front of me because we've talked about my whole life and how I've dealt with spirituality. So that transition to energy talks, that is a service I offer. And then 5 years after that, my dad got sick with cancer, and I was helping my mom care for him. And, we did the usual chemotherapy and radiation. And I was very, very into physical healing, meaning that the body needs to be strong with nutritional therapy and exercise, because I was also an exercise enthusiast and a personal trainer. And I realized all those things were not helping my dad to deal with his illness. And the hospital said, hey, we have volunteers that can come and do different things. Would you like a volunteer to come and sit with your dad? And I'm like, sure. What do they do? She's like, oh, they'll explain when they get there. So this woman arrived and she asked my dad, do you mind if you just take off your shirt? And I want to put my hands on where your sickness is, your lungs, your back. And he's like, sure. And she basically just moved her hands slow, almost like a light massage. But then she would stop and then she would say these wonderful things to him, like, Lou, you're going to heal. Lou, you're in a beautiful place. You're accepting of where you are. And I'm sitting watching, going, what is she doing? Like, what is this? But I was so drawn to it. To me, it was another type of energy, um, with mantras and just touch. So I was experienced with Reiki, but something she was doing was so different. So shortly after that, I enrolled in massage school and I started to learn so many different modalities. So that came to be massage Reiki, which is what I do also. And I learned that from watching this woman and how it also made my dad feel great. He said, I can say that I feel better than I have in a long time after this woman touched me. And I'm not just talking about while I've been sick. I mean, I haven't felt this wonderful in years. And I was like, this is amazing. So that was another modality that came to mind that I can offer because I saw what it did for my dad. And then about 6 years ago, my cousin, my closest friend, like my sister, got a very rare disease. But while she was sick, we didn't know what she had. So I would go over and sit with her again, and she would say, pray with me. And I'd say, okay, um, Reiki me. And I'd go, oh, okay, I can, but you have Reiki masters and people who are far more skilled than me. And she's like, I want you. And after I'd Reiki her, we'd have these unbelievable conversations about how she would say, whatever I'm going through, I don't know what I have, but I feel better when you're with me. I feel like I can accept it and move forward with it. And she said, you need to do this for other people. And I'm like, okay. She goes, no, I mean on a big scale. And I'm going to give you the money to do it. And I'm like, oh, no, don't be ridiculous. She's like, no, I want the world to know about your healing. And I want the world to hear your voice and your words. So that inspired me to come up with what I call a grace box. I have my little box here. I'm not going to open and show you everything, but this is kind of what it looks like. And what it is a meditation tool for self-starters, for people who maybe want to get in touch with their spirituality, but don't know where to even begin. And maybe they're not comfortable going to a Reiki master or talking about what they need healed. So this box is, it starts you off, but it's self-explanatory. It's a guided meditation with my voice. There's crystals, there's journaling, and there's also a self-help guide. It's step-by-step instructions, what to do with these crystals and how to meditate. So even if people say, I can't sit still, I don't know how to meditate, you're just going to listen to what Grace has to tell you. Sometimes I use it for myself. So through her illness, saying those things to me, it sparked this Grace box, which is the heart and soul of Gracepiration, I believe. And then the most recent loss I had was my mom. She passed away 3 months ago, and I cared for her for 6 months. And during her illness, I prepared myself for the worst, that, yeah, she could die from this illness. And I said, but I'll be okay, because I've had such huge losses in my life. The one being my cousin I just spoke about. I can handle this. It's my mom, but it's another loss. I've been dealing with grief. I can do this. What I didn't expect is that when my mom passed away, the loss felt so different. I don't know if both of you have your moms, but when you lose your mom, you lose almost like a part of who you are, because your mom is the person that has given you life in this world, the first person that gave you breath. So in my head, I'm thinking, without my mom, do I exist? Do I breathe? Do I live anymore? And I never thought I would feel that way, because like I said, I dealt so great with grief. But I did. And I had to figure out why. And that's what I came up with. I'm thinking, I can't live without my mom, who knows everything about me, the only person. She has given me everything that I know who I am. How do I know who I am without her? And for a moment, I forgot who I was. I forgot my energy healing. I forgot everything that I have taught myself through 20 years, and I teach others. And I was just grieving, and I was at a loss. And then in talking to other people who were going to similar things, I said, you know what? There is healing in helping each other. So I started a group called the No Moms Club, which is the most recent thing to my website. It's a free self-help healing journey for people who have lost their moms, whether it be in death or distance, because some people don't have their moms in their life for other reasons. But although the circumstances are different, the result is the same, that loss feeling. So we've been pretty successful with that the last few months. And we started out with a meditation and then open discussion. And then we ended with a Reiki healing. And my goal there was always for people just to leave that session a little lighter than when they came in. And I feel that way. So I feel like that's been truly, truly instrumental in helping me deal with grief, with watching others and interacting with their energy at the same time. So those are the babies of Gracepiration, those 4 things I talked about. And they just all came from my journey of self-healing and finding my way in the spiritual world, becoming self-aware, and then trying to self-accept, because I think that's a hard part. And then ultimately love yourself. That's where that self-love crystal comes in. Because I think that's a hard journey to take if you're on it. And as spiritual leaders, I think we've all been there. And if we can help others get there and teach them how to get there, I mean, I think that's the most wonderful thing we can do, because so many people ask me, I don't know where to go. And I know I'm missing something in my life. Where is that peace? And I often tell them that peace is within you. You're looking outside of who you are. It's right here. It's in your soul. And once you find that, everything starts to come together so much easier and so much calmer, and you feel at ease in life. So that's been my major goal, to have people understand that they can find inner peace and happiness within. It's not out here, it's here. Um, I often hear that saying, mind, body, spirit, and I get a little upset about it. And the reason I get upset about it is because I don't like that the word spirit is last. Because I
Mm.
see we all are so in tune with our mind. If we have emotional problems, or anxiety, we talk to our friends or we call a counselor. And then our body, we're going to the gym, we're eating right, we're exercising, we're seeing our doctors and taking medication. And we still have that piece that something's missing. And a lot of my clients will come to me and say that I've done everything right. I'm healthy physically. I go to a psychiatrist and I talk about my problems, but Grace, there's something missing. And I say, the most important part you haven't tapped into yet. So to me, I feel like if we tap into our spirit and our soul first, and we teach our children that, everything else just naturally falls into place because you know in your soul what you need. You know what your body needs. You know what your mind needs. You know what your heart needs. And I think we got to like just change that narrative. And I think as healers, we're starting to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful story. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mom,
Thank you.
and and that being so recent. And I what I think is so beautiful about your story, and I find this can resonate with a lot of people, is when we take that loss and that grief, and rather than let that debilitate us, we utilize it to uplift us. And I found the same thing. I had a very, very hard loss, very close to me. And I found in those moments of grief were some of the biggest breakthroughs,
Mhm.
whether that led to, dark night of the soul and really having a reflection on my life and my path. But I think they don't understand how powerful it can be to utilize that grief for
Mhm.
self growth
That's right.
and sit with it. A lot of people want to run from it. And I see that with a lot of my clients. And, that was one, it's interesting that we're talking about this tonight, because I saw that as one of those connecting lines between a lot of people that were at an event I was doing yesterday. And a lot of people were running from their grief rather than sitting with it and allowing, to feel that and grow through it. Because once, if you're running from it, you're never going to grow through that. And it's just a beautiful story. And I think a lot
Thank
of our listeners, I think that's why they're drawn to this show, because we want to give them actual life tools that they can utilize right now
right.
to get through those stages of grief. Or how can I spiritually get through this block, or what can give me
Mhm.
that insight and guidance. That you're right. I mean, we're not going to get it, and we're not going to tap into it any other way. It's that spiritual realm, that divine through us, that's going to lead us. Yeah, no, I love that
I
story.
I had the tools and I forgot them for a short
Yeah,
time. So
yeah,
imagine people who don't have those tools,
yeah,
here to guide them and teach them that they have it. We all have gifts within us to heal our own
yeah,
selves. And something important that you said about grief, running from it. I find a lot of my clients, um, when they are running from grief or running from something they need to deal with, it sets the physical body. And that's why when I do
yeah.
Reiki massage, I feel those physical ailments sitting in the shoulder, the heart, the hip, the back, no support. And I, through the energy healing and through the process of the energy talk, we come to understand where that started. And if you do tend to move forward with the session and deal with that, you're right. You release it. And then
Yeah.
that pain goes away. And it's just amazing to me, the human body, how it plays with our heart and soul together is it just all works together. It's amazing to me. We need to work on all three at the same time. But like I said, to me, spirit should be first. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. No, that's a great point. What I'm really curious about is, so it's the grace box? Is that the healing
that's what it's
meditation
called.
box?
Yes, it's the meditation box. And like I said, it stemmed from my cousin's words. And when I first started, it was hard for me to do something um, out of grief for her, as you said. But
Mm.
then I looked at it as I'm going to do it in honor of her because this
Yeah,
she would have wanted. This is what made her feel better. And when I just changed the perspective, I could do anything in honor of her because, like I said,
yeah,
she was, the closest person in my life. But yeah, it's a pretty it's a pretty neat meditation tool because, like I said, you can know everything about spirituality and get something out of it, or know nothing. Open that box, read the instructions, listen to my guided meditation, and it tells you where to place the crystals and what you should be feeling. And it's about balancing your chakras, but also teaching you about your chakras. And from there, I also have personalized grace boxes that if someone has a situation they want to work on in particular, I can personalize that box for them. And people have called me to purchase gifts for people and say, hey, I know they're going through this. Can you Reiki these crystals for this situation and personalize it? And I will put different things in the box. So yeah, it's been really, really a helpful tool in for my clients and for strangers I don't even know because people buy to my website and then they'll just message me. This was wonderful. I loved it. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome way to give them a taste of all the different modalities and kind of experience it for themselves. It's funny because that's one of the things we were talking about tonight are different aspects of wellness or holistic wellness and how can we incorporate that. One thing that I think people sometimes remove themselves from is that creative connection they have, that artistic creativity. And that's one big thing. And then, Mary Amy was talking about the cards and crystals, and we talked about runestones. So now someone that's listening and they're not really sure where to turn, where to go, what do you think would be a very simple wellness item, a tool they could use, whether it's learning a little bit about Reiki healing or an essential oil or a crystal? What would be kind of your ground foundation of maybe start with these one or two things and grow from there? Something that would be in your box. What
Right.
could you
Well,
recommend?
I always start and I give everyone at the end of a session a rose quartz heart because I believe the foundation of all that we do, especially for inspiration, is going inside of our heart and
Mm.
finding the love for ourselves that we can give to other people. So this is a reminder of that. And if you meditate with that rose quartz, you can feel the energy and the love almost giving to yourself. And I tell people with that crystal, hold it and then hold it in one hand and hug yourself. I mean, how many of us do self hugs? We
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and it's amazing. When I did an event back in June, that was part of our meditation to hug ourselves before the meditation and the healing, and then hug ourselves after. And then we talked about it, and people were like, wow, I really felt it and meant it after you went through the whole, journey of why I needed to love myself. And then you did the Reiki healing. Before it was like, and now I was really loving myself. So to me, that rose quartz crystal and a self hug, even if just close your eyes and feel what that is, to know that you love yourself or that you are working on loving yourself is the best place to start. To me, the only place to start, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is an inward journey. That's a great way
absolutely.
to
And
describe
yeah,
it. Yeah.
and it's ongoing. It's yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I did something similar for my granddaughter's school. Her school said, "Hey, can anybody bring in moms or grandparents for like a career day?" And my 4-year-old granddaughter said, "Grandma, I want you to come." And I was like, "Sure." And I'm saying to myself, "What am I going to talk to 4-year-olds about?" Like, I don't want to be too much. It needs to be age appropriate. I don't know how parents are going to feel if I start talking about energy healing. I don't know. So what I did was I did a little meditation and a book about self-love and how they need to recognize that how important they are. And we did the hug. And I gave everybody a mini rose quartz heart. And I said, it's hard to remember that that's the most important thing. So if you carry this with you, you take it out and you hold it. It's a reminder of how important it is to love ourselves. And they loved it. And then I got such great feedback from the teachers and parents that said, oh my God, that was a great little program you did. Would you do it here for the Girl Scouts or here? I'm like, absolutely. Because we don't think about energy healing or self-love on that level for preschoolers, for 3 to 4-year-olds. But that was the best way I could explain to them how important it is and to start them on that journey. So we even started that young with the rose quartz.
That's awesome, and it's great starting them that young,
Mhm.
and it's an amazing thing. Now, can you share for some of the parents that are out there and they have kids they're very intuitive or they feel, my
Mhm.
kid has all this psychic ability. I'm not really sure what to do with it or how to handle it. What would be a few things some suggestions? How could they approach that and maybe talk about it in that type of way?
Yes, absolutely. That would be the first thing. Just have a conversation. And when a child expresses they feel something or they see something, it has to be a matter of fact conversation because I also have my older granddaughter who is following in my footsteps. And that's how she came to me to say, Grandma, I love what you do. I feel like when I pick up a crystal, I know what it's for. I know how it's going to help me, and I want to learn about it. And we just had conversations. And then she asked me if she could have a Reiki session. So I asked her mom, and she's like, sure. We did a 15-minute, just beautiful spiritual music with my hand on her and me telling her to think about how to care for herself and how to love herself and feel confident so that she can bring that out in the world and she doesn't have to feel less than when she's in a room with other people. And I think parents need to have conversations with their children on that level, even if they're not intuitive. I mean, we're all intuitive, but if they haven't recognized it yet, it's just about knowing who you are inside and never being afraid to speak about it. But as a parent, we have to make them comfortable to say, hey, what are you feeling and what's going on and how can I help you? And just listen. And parents know what to say to their kids. And if they don't, they can reach out to one of us to guide them. Reiki healing on children is fabulous. So if a parent was interested in trying a session, that would be amazing. Any age can benefit from a healing session. But I think parents just need to talk to their kids more and not be afraid to approach those questions or hear the answers their kids have to say. Because how many of us as kids were afraid to say what we were feeling? Like, I don't know when you first noticed gifts that you had, but it probably weren't the most comfortable thing to tell your parents or, siblings, hey, I think I can talk to people or I can feel energy. But had someone come to you to say, hey, I'm aware of this and I'm noticing things, let me hear about it, it makes them comfortable.
No, that's a great point. And I think that's a difficult thing that a lot of people aren't really sure how to approach it. So it's a great perspective. I'm going to have to hand the next question off to Mary Amy, though I apologize. If you're hearing me get bumped around, my big Bernese Mountain Dog just barged into my
Oh,
office and
okay.
he's trying to jump into my lap.
I noticed something, but I didn't know what
So
was going
I'm gonna have to kick him out real quick. So I'm gonna give you the
on.
next question.
Okay. Thank you.
You shared with
Yeah,
us how you kind of
go,
you
buddy. Come on.
reached out and
Yeah.
learned about your different
Oh,
different
let's go.
healing modalities,
Let's go.
your different skill set. I too, I was thinking, I'm just going to say it was a beautiful story. And then Michael said it to you twice. I was like, okay, we're reading each other's mind, or everyone's going to think it's a beautiful story. Both,
Right.
everything. I want to say to you that I sense fairies. I don't know if people have said to you about fairies, you and fairies. Have you heard that before?
Yes, I have. I haven't delved into contacting, feeling the energy of fairies, but someone has told me that in the past, and every once in a while it does come up. So tell me, I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so I just it, right off the bat, I'm getting fairies around you, and so the fairies. This is what I'm reading is that there's fairies around you that are sending you messages, um, and they're kind of not pushing you, but guiding you. Actually, you're guiding others, but they're guiding you into certain directions in your life,
Mm.
and it's like I just saw just now. I just saw a like stacks of information. Like it almost looks like a pyramid, stacks of information till you reach the top, and you're not there yet. You're still gaining
Mm.
more about where you're going. I do see. I do. We talked about a book. I do see a book. I
Mm.
see something very. Uh, it looks kind of like a fairy-ish book, even the writing that
Yeah,
you do,
I'm
right?
currently writing a children's book.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so
And so what? So you have a lot of energy and glow that you get from whether you realize it or not from sunlight,
mm,
just from the sun.
absolutely,
You get it.
absolutely right.
You you so can I just read you a little bit?
Absolutely. And the
Because
sun is amazing. Most people say energy healers follow the phases of the moon. And I'm not about the moon at all. I'm all about the sun. I actually have a necklace that has a heart and a sun because my heart is always with the sun. So that's amazing that you just read that. I
yeah.
love that.
And so let's see. All right, so I see you in a past life. I see there's actually the sun is on its way down. you're traveling with someone and you have like something that you're carrying on like a stick with your belongings. It's that old, and you're traveling with someone else and you're passing along in front of this sunset. And there's water around you. Let's see, go back to the fairies and the other things. So I do receive from that you are in a place of abundance with more coming. You have open arms towards that. You are not someone who's prevented yourself from receiving. You have an open heart and you want other people to have the abundance as well. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot more about you because I sense it's like all openness.
Do you think the fairies are, because I'm so involved with my grandchildren? I have 4 granddaughters and I'm forever doing things with them. And they are about, fairies and Disney and just such beautiful spirit around them. And I love being with them. So maybe the fairies are guiding me to listen more to my grandchildren, because I say it all the time, out of mouth of babes. My granddaughter is the one that pushed me to finish this children's book because it's about them and their experience in life, when they were babies. So I'm curious if that's where the fairies come in.
Well, definitely have a childlike innocence about you, childlike related to you, where it's a pure heart. And I knew that when I met you. In fact, I remember something floral, or you had something going on that was like in a rose color or something you were wearing. And
Yes,
maybe
a rose-colored skirt.
actually, pardon me?
I was wearing a rose-colored skirt.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think that's why I was drawn to you. And you just have this way about you that you're accessible to people. And I think that's why you definitely must continue to do what you're doing, and even on a grander scale, because a lot of people come off sometimes in this field that they might not be someone that people feel comfortable, whether it's the way they look or the way they carry themselves. But you, across the board, to me, I sense that you're somebody that many people will understand your words, the way you express yourself, and just you're very grounded.
Yes. Yes.
I did not need to say all this.
It's okay. I love it. I love it. I love when people read me, and you're so right on. Everything you said is so true. I can't believe the sun thing. That really got me the most out of everything you said, because like I said, most people are about the moon. And I just always say, no, for me, it's the sun. I feel like my energy just glows when I'm out in the sun. And my favorite song is "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles. So
There you
you
go.
couldn't get any better.
Following your guide with your spirit, whatever. It's like it's been uncovered. You flipped yourself over, and now you're looking at what's the plan. And you're kind of being guided to, this is the next thing, and this is the next thing, and you're following the plan. I'm telling you right now, you're following the plan. You're doing
hope so.
Right.
Okay, good. Yes. There's a lot more ahead of me to be done, and I know that, and I sense it ever having different ideas. So I feel that way. So thank you for confirming that. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people out there that can use all of our help and help them tap into their own spirituality and their own happiness and their own gifts. Because again, I feel like if we know it comes from within, so many people wouldn't be searching for all these things they're searching for. And that's really important for me to recognize, help people recognize that they have that gift within them.
So can you share with our viewers and our listeners an example? Walk us through, someone contacts you, what, are they contacting you and they're saying like, oh, hey, I'm having an issue? Or are they saying, I want to be more spiritual? Or is it both?
It's all of the above. Yes, I do. I would say most people contact me initially because they're in a place in their life that they're feeling out of balance, unfulfilled. Like I said, they think they have done everything right. I'm just not happy inside. I'm not sure why, or having problems with this relationship, and I don't know if it's me or how I'm related. And it just starts there, and then we decide together what's the best type of healing to move forward with. People have different comfort zones where they want to start. Some people want to do an online short session. Some people want to come in person. Some people want to start with the Grace Box and be on their own. So yeah, it basically starts with most of the time someone feeling unbalanced and unfulfilled inside, and they want me to help them figure out why. That's usually the reason.
Mm.
And it doesn't take long before we can, uncover what things are. And most of the time, it's nothing so terrible that people think. They think, what is happening to me? It's just getting in touch with who you are and finding out that you can make your own happiness. That's really what it is in simple terms. They just don't know that they can do that. They
Yeah,
don't
people
have the
tend to
tools.
overthink it and
Yeah,
complicate it.
absolutely.
You know?
But when you're in touch with your spirit and you're working on your soul, those overthinking, procrastination, they
Mm.
just seem to go away because
Yeah,
you know. That's that inner knowing. That's the piece I was talking
yeah.
about. Spirit should be first. It
Mm.
eliminates all that extra stuff that we are always about. How's the dog? He's okay?
Oh, he's good. I had to kick him out of the office. I don't even know how he got the door open,
What kind of
but
dog is it?
interesting things like that happen on Two Psychics.
Now, of course, it happens in
Lights
every
flicker, electrical interference,
always.
dogs
Always.
jumping in.
What kind of dog is it?
Bernese Mountain Dog,
Oh, nice.
a
Good
big
dog.
like a big bear trying to jump into my lap. So that's why I had to hold him off till I could get him out.
Let me ask the both of you because I've had this experience recently. I've tapped into this. Have you guys have any experience with animals? How they respond to you if you're just with them or put your hands on them? I have noticed more and more that not only are animals comfortable with me, they kind of are interacting with me. That I think they're trying to communicate with me. So I've been tapping to that a little more. Um,
Yeah. We've done some episodes on animal communication and that almost
awesome.
telepathic connection that we have with them. But
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely, they definitely tap into our energy. I do believe we connect to them on a deep energetic level. That unconditional love, that heart, that
Yes.
soul to soul blend. I do believe we get, like, as a medium, that's my goal, that soul to soul blend with the spirit realm to get the most accurate evidential information. And I feel it's that same connection we have with the animals. It's that soul to soul blend. And we all know, the unconditional love from animals it's like it's unlike
Yeah,
anything else.
that's
And
the key word there, the unconditional.
yeah,
As humans, it's hard to get there, but with an animal, it's just there.
yeah, it's a
That's
beautiful
beautiful.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Mary Amy just did a wonderful reading of me, and she was so right on. Do you have any information for me? Any advice moving forward? I'm always looking for some
No,
guidance.
no. What's interesting is I'm still kind of going between two worlds. I feel like I had a really large mediumship event yesterday, and what's interesting is I I have to talk to you. Are they yellow roses behind you? Yellow roses, or is there a connection to you? If they're not yellow roses, what's very interesting is in my mind's eye around you when you're talking about your aunt and your mom. I don't know if there's a specific connection to the yellow rose, but I feel as if their energy is pushing through a yellow rose to you, like through me as the conduit. And what's interesting is I do believe grandma to the children. So this would be mom's energy. I don't know if there's the younger granddaughter with an A or there's an A around her or some A
Yes,
connection that she's
yes.
bringing me to the A. And I don't know if she's involved in like theater, dance, ballerina, like something but she's talking about there's like really encouraging it's like the theatrical, musical, artistic side of her. And I feel like I see her dance. I almost feel like I see her. It's not necessarily a dance competition like cheerleading. It's more like a theatrical ballerina tap or something like that.
Hey, maybe.
So
But she's
yeah,
a cheerleader, though. She is a cheerleader.
she is. Okay, so
But
it's
she
maybe
loves to
taking
dance.
that. But yeah, some type of theater or something with that where she's actually doing theatrical movement. But who is the younger A? Who is the A?
My granddaughter, Amelia.
Oh, Amelia. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not sure why she's bringing my focus to the A, Amelia, but there's some folk now. I would say mom was pretty connected to her. Is that the case? All of them, or
She
was?
was connected to all of them, but yeah, I mean, Amelia had some reservations when she was born. She was premature, and I think
Mm.
the mom just always had a soft spot for her that now she's
Okay. Okay.
beautiful and healthy, but she always was a little worried and concerned about her. So that's probably why she's
Well, it's
happy to
funny
see
because
her.
yeah, it's cool because her energy comes through like almost. It's funny because the more I connect to you and hear your voice, the more it opens and connects to them. What's really interesting is I just feel as if it's like guardian angel type energy around the young girls, and she's drawn
Yeah.
to her. So
Okay.
and yeah, so I would definitely say there's a lot of a lot of intuitive psychic energy around that one, probably too. Probably all of them coming
Yes.
from you. But it's interesting because the I would say the one thing, the overwhelming energy though that I sense, what I'm going to say is your collective. And the funny thing is, like as a medium, I always, when it's mom's side or connected to mom's energy, it always comes into my left, and that's where the tingling and sensation is. So that so much connection to mom's side into the younger children and kind of overseeing them. But I feel like I just have to honor your kind of your path, and it's almost like don't listen to what I have to say, but watch what I do, and being, you know, being like that inspiration, and being, being that focal point that can inspire the younger children around you. I think it's good. And what's
Yeah.
funny is I don't know if mom necessarily said a lot of like learn. I feel like you're very close, but it's weird. It's almost like she imprints on me. You can learn a lot from the kids,
Yeah.
kind of their playfulness and how they approach things. Sometimes even, as a healer, sometimes, and as a, doing this work, sometimes we don't take our own advice or utilize our own tools, which is
Very
funny you
true.
talked about. And it's funny that I just feel like she talks about you learning, like in this journey that you're going on, this next energetic cycle, a lot of inspiration, and I think a lot is going to come from the children,
Me too.
and you're going to see that playfulness and that innocence, and I think that's going to somehow flow into your work
I do
if it
too.
hasn't already.
Me and Mary Amy just discussed that. But the yellow roses, I have to just, let you know that was my mother's favorite flower.
Okay,
And
awesome, awesome.
it just brought her so much joy. So that was just
Yeah. And
well
it's
done.
interesting because I normally don't bring those type of things in unless it's very specific, and it wasn't like a like it was literally a yellow
Yellow.
rose, and it was, and I felt the energy kind of handed through. And it's interesting because I don't know if that's what you have in the background, but I saw them all around, like in my mind's eye.
Mm.
They're like literally there's bouquets of yellow
Oh, I
flowers
love that.
around you, and
I
I feel
love
like
that.
it's
That's
mom's
definitely my
energy.
mom.
Yeah, pulling in. Really, really cool. And
So,
it's interesting because I also sense, I don't know what August, I don't know the specifics around August, if that specific birthday, anniversary, something, but I feel like they draw my attention for a very positive energetic cycle for you around that time, or they're bringing my awareness to something
yeah.
around the family significant
Yeah,
around
yeah,
that.
yeah. My niece is having a baby in August, and she
Okay. So
like my
mom's watching.
daughter. Yeah,
Oh,
so
awesome, awesome. So yeah, so mom's honoring that, and she's definitely, for her to imprint that on me. She's watching over the family, and
yes.
she knows. So if there's, oh, I wish grandma was here, or and I almost feel like there was a name for it. Like I'm not sure what. So what's interesting is why I feel like I'm Italian, but I'm being drawn to Greece. What's the deal with that? Is there like, is there something like in Italy or a Greek connection around the family that I would
Nothing
be
I know
picking
of.
up?
We're all from Italy. All my ancestors are from Italy. I don't know about the Greek connection. It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Or there's, so what's interesting is, yeah, I'm getting an overwhelming sense of like that Italy, but what's weird is I feel like they're bringing up Greece. So I don't know if there's going to be a connection in the family. Someone travels there. Maybe someone will be coming into the family that was Greek. I don't know, but it's
Oh, okay.
interesting because I'm really drawn to just saying Greece as some kind of positive, just some kind of positive energy around that.
I'm going to keep that in mind.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not sure what that is, or maybe you'll find some old family lineage that ties you into
Yeah,
that.
I'm
I'm
going to look
not sure,
into it.
but it's weird. It's just, for some reason I have to mention that to you. And
Oh, I
yeah,
love it. Thanks
but I
so
think it's
much.
just loving energy supporting you and the whole family, and I think they're just honoring that path. And it's interesting because it's really a strong independence that I think you're going to instill in all in the whole family structure. So
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. No, I have to honor that,
close
and
with my
honor,
kids.
honor your connection to them and them coming through. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I love that. Thank you. Thank you both so much. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
This is it's good. I think tonight's episode of Two Psychics, I think anyone out there listening, you can get a lot of tools and kind of empower yourself to try to start this journey, wherever you are, and that's the thing. I think we tend to think we need to be some, in some heavy duty spiritual place, meditating on a wooden rock in the woods for 7 hours a day, like a Buddhist monk. And people, it's like you said, it's very simple. Order the box, start up with a
Yes.
small, simple tool, start the process, in a simple manner. Don't overthink it. Don't
Yeah.
overcomplicate it. And
That's the
now,
key. Starting. Just
yeah,
starting.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, just do it, right? The old
Absolutely.
Nike saying, just do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's such a simple saying, but it's so true, and so much power is held in that.
I totally agree.
So where is the best way for people to reach out, contact you if they're interested in
Always on my
ordering a
website. Gracespiration.com. I'm on social media. Instagram is grace.22. Inspiration. It had to be broken up. And Facebook is Gracespiration. You can always email me or, direct message me anywhere and just ask me about my services, which people do. They often have a lot of questions before they book. I do some live events, but I had those on hold because of my mom's passing. So that's on pause for now. We're working on some dates. But I also do at home Reiki parties, which I also love, where I get families together and people give it as gifts. Like, I want my family to experience this. And it could be 8 to 20 people in a room, and I bring everything we need to do a private Reiki event. We bring the chairs, the blankets, the pillows, and swag bags, and we make it like a party, but it's all about healing.
Yeah, that's great.
The connections that come out for families is kind of amazing. So that's one of the things that I love to do. But everything is on my website. Freespiration.com is probably the best way to get in touch with me. And if I don't answer immediately, my assistant Gina will. We get back to people pretty quickly. And whatever we can do to help people, we're always there too, because that's the goal. That's my goal, to help as many people as I can.
List what your services are so everyone knows.
List them all?
Yeah, tell me what
okay, so like we talked about my energy talks, distant and in-person Reiki healing. In person is Reiki massage, crystal divination grids, private guided meditations if you want to do one-on-one with me, where we can do some shadow work and inner child work. And then again, there's my grace box that you can order if you want to self-start, or I can guide you through it. There's just so many ways to just tap into energy and start. Like we said before, just start. And I also have an option of, if you want me to intuitively guide, pick a crystal for you and send it to you and just start there. What energy you feel, and let's discuss it. So there's just so many options on my website, and everything is made to guide people to help themselves and affordable. I don't want anyone to have to spend so much money to find their inner happiness. So,
what's raindrop therapy?
Oh, okay. Raindrop therapy is a form of massage done with essential oils down the spine. So it's light motions, kind of like a Reiki touch, but it is a massage. But it's oils put down the base of the spine because a lot of our toxic energies and physical ailments live on the spine, and each oil just dissipates and takes that toxic energy with you. So it's a process of 8 to 10 oils, and then a series of different strokes, and then a light massage, and then those same oils applied to your feet. And it's just like the most amazing rejuvenation that you can experience after it's done.
That sounds wonderful.
I love raindrop therapy. Yes.
So wonderful.
Yeah. And I also do cranial sacral, where you touch the sutures of the brain, and when you touch the sutures of the brain, it coincides to different parts of the body, and you can feel people's energy and where they need to work to. There's just so many different modalities to incorporate in energy healing, and I'm forever learning and studying and taking courses. It's just because I feel like there's always something different for somebody else out there. Not everybody just wants to come and have Reiki. So that's why I offer the variety. And I love it. I love learning myself. So yeah.
Where are you located?
Well, right now I do in-person things at people's homes. I don't have a physical storefront. Again, that was put on pause because of my mom. I was taking care of my mom for 6 months, and now 3 months since she passed, I've been taking care of her affairs. So that's 9 months. It's like almost a whole year that I've been a little pause. But I'm going to get going and get that moving by the end of this year. But if you contact me and you live locally, I'll come to you. Sometimes I have people in my home. I'm in Northfield, New Jersey. So I'm not far from Westchester, from Rockland County, even New York City. So, there's always a way to work out some kind of healing for me if you contact me. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. So you're pretty local.
Yeah.
You're pretty local to us. So
Yeah.
if we get a wellness event put together, we can get you to come out to be a part of it, or what?
Absolutely. I would love it. I absolutely would love that. Thank you. Yes. That's
All
a
right.
big yes.
Awesome. That'd be great.
One quick thing I want to mention to you, we passed over, I didn't get a chance to say, you mentioned about animals and communication, and we had this animal communicator, and she shared with us that to communicate with your animal if you want to telepathically give them information, what you want to do is you want to visualize whatever it is and send them that so they can see it.
Yes.
And do you know this already? Let me tell you.
Well, I've just been starting to study it. I actually just was speaking to the animal and getting them to answer me with their paw. But yes, I was reading about the visualization and no, but continue because I want to hear.
Yeah, no, it's just that. Like, so it's interesting because I always felt I have a little Havanese, Elsa, and I always felt like we had an, unspoken communication. And then after we had her on our show, this animal communicator, and she told us how you just visualize whatever it is, whatever it is that you want to tell the puppy dog or, the animal, you visualize it and send them that information, maybe to put them at ease, maybe if they're struggling with something or just to communicate. And it's so interesting because I was doing that a lot. And then Elsa again cheated death. She broke her leg. She didn't eat for 4 days. She wasn't doing well. She had all these problems. And I continued to do that. And then I don't know if she got trained during that problem or if it was from me communicating her telepathically. But now I just say things and she listens to me and does.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely would say that
she
it's the
understands
latter.
what I'm saying. Like, pardon me?
I said I would say it's the latter, that you telepathically communicated with her. That's wonderful. If you saw such a change in her.
Such a change. Like,
Absolutely.
it's almost like she knows ahead of time before I even say it. So like if I bring her outside now and I have to carry up the stairs because she can't, they're high stairs and now I don't want her to like re-injure herself or cause any more distress. So I'll carry her, but now I take her out without a harness and because there's a big front lawn. So she'll do her walking, then she'll pause, she'll look at me, and then she'll like she'll run up to the driveway all by herself, pause, turn, look at me, like, without me even saying anything.
That's great.
Wait for you to telepathically tell her what to do.
Michael, have you
now
tried
there's
that?
expectations.
Have you tried that too, Michael, your dog?
What is it?
I'm curious. Have you tried that too with your puppy?
Yeah. I have two dogs, and these are, and I've had several over the years, Bernese Mountain Dogs and Bulldogs. Yeah, I found with all of them, usually after about a 6-month interaction, we're usually pretty close to being on the same energetic wavelength.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think when they're just, if you get them as puppies and they're very distracted, I think once you get past the basics, the human animal aspects of the connection, I think then you get to that spiritual aspect of it. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And the interesting thing, we talk about grief and going through grief. One of the hardest grieving periods was my first dog that I had lost. And that was such a process. And that's really, I think, what opened me to my dark night of the soul in that process of, my soul is calling me in these other directions and where am I going? But it was truly in that grief and the grief of that loss that showed me where I needed to go, So that's not that truly people are doing themselves one of the greatest disservices if they're not sitting with that energy and truly trying to work through that energy. Yeah.
Well, like I said, we talked about, I don't think people understand or know that they should be doing that.
Yeah.
That's feel like they're not talking about it or they're putting it away. That's ideal. Just put a smile on your face and move forward. But the body remembers and the body stores and it comes out in other ways. So
yeah. And it's not something that's talked about. I think a lot of the preconceived notion is, ooh, we don't want to bring that person up if someone has passed. And it's funny in a sense because I think the more we talk about them and who they were and what they brought to us, that's keep, that energetic connection stays. And I think that's what people don't realize is, it's the death of the physical body, that's all it is. The soul never dies. It just transfers over. And
and I've had people do the same thing. Like you said, oh, I don't want to bring it up to remind you. So I don't talk about her. I'm like, how do you're not
going to
say that's going to, I think about her every minute of every day anyway.
Yeah.
Talk about her. Like you said, we're exchanging that energy in those stories. To me, that's amazing and wonderful. I love when someone brings up my mom.
Yeah. And it's good. I think people, are having these conversations, and there's people like us having shows like this, having these
Yeah,
discussions, and
great.
that's what needs to happen. The preconceived notions around this and the taboos, they're not taboo,
No,
and we have
no,
to talk about that stuff. We have to help people learn how to navigate this, and these are the conversations that are going to help people get there, I think.
absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
We are so grateful that you came and joined us today, and we hope another time you will.
I
And if
absolutely
we do a
will.
live event, we'd love to have you join us.
Okay, great.
And you have so much to offer. So again, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience before you go?
Um, I think I said just about everything that I have inside of me about Grayspiration and about me. But yeah, I mean, just reach out, because sometimes just reaching out and saying, "Hey, I want to chat," it turns into a whole other avenue of whether it's a modality that I'm going to, or a service that I'm going to recommend, or just a conversation. I have people who call me and say, "Hey, I'm not sure if I want to do something. What do you think?" And I'm on the phone for them for 3 hours, and we just talked, and they're like, "Okay, that made me feel comfortable." So I just tell people, reach out to Grace. I'm always here to get you through whatever you need to get through, because I know that's what always was comforting to me in my life. If somebody was there on the other end to say, "Hey, everything's going to be okay. I got you. I'll help you." So that's probably the best thing that I could say about Grayspiration and myself. Just reach out. I'll help you the best I can. My heart is always there to help people. Ever since I'm a little girl, I've always wanted to help other people. So that's what I'd say. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for joining us. So everyone out there, reach out to Grace.
Hey,
And
Grace,
we'll put her link on the description, and this is going to be on different podcasts and different video platforms. Okay.
thank you so
Yeah,
much for
Grace,
holding
thank you
the line.
so much.
Thank
Yeah,
Thank
everyone
you.
out there,
you.
gracespiration.com. Get the Grace Box. Get
Yeah.
started on your spiritual journey. That's an awesome thing. So, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for being here with Two Psychics. We're absolutely going to have you back, and
Thank you.
and we'll all catch up on where the next stages of our journeys have brought us.
I would love it. Thank you guys so much. It was
Thank
a
you so
pleasure and
much.
my honor to connect with you guys tonight.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'll send you a message after the show. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Good night. Good night, Michael. Good
All
night.
right. Good night, Grace. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Wait, don't go yet, because I gotta
I'm
talk.
not, yeah, yeah, I know.
I don't know how to do it. You're gonna have to just get yourself.
You're staying on with us through the end
I
of the
never
show.
know how to do this part.
Saying goodbye. I'm leaving the meeting. Good night, guys.
Bye. Okay, so before we go, I just want to remind everybody what we have upcoming. So tonight, here we did a little reading without even
Yeah.
trying, which just came through. Now, if you want to reach Michael, eyeofthespirits.com. He's down the Jersey Shore. Maybe we'll be doing some upcoming events. I don't know. We have to talk about it, Michael. I did get a message, and I told you that I heard from David Eller today, and he asked us,
Yeah, we're going on an expedition. We're
asked
going
for
looking
us
for
to go on an
Bigfoot.
expedition in New Jersey. So I looked it up.
Let's
So,
do it.
because apparently there's Bigfoot sightings, and it is, I'll tell you, you somehow
We're
I
going to be
said,
trekking through the Pine Barrens, right? Isn't it somewhere up here in the East Coast, tri-state area somewhere?
it's by you. It's in New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so, and he wants to film it, so it's going to be very interesting. Okay, so he wants to investigate the Jersey Pine Barrens,
Ooh,
which
all
is
right.
very large, and it's deep woods. And
Mhm.
and his idea of going out and doing an expedition is literally you bring a tent and you're in the middle of nowhere. Like you oh
It's
my
going to be
God.
Bigfoot versus the Jersey Devil, right?
Yeah, he wants to go, and we can record it, and
Cool.
it could be what you in for that?
I'm in, hey, I was a Boy Scout. I could camp.
Okay.
I can build a fire without matches. I'm good.
Also another event we'll talk about. I don't know. It's down the Jersey Shore in May. I don't know if you're available. I sent you the information. And we'll talk about that. It would be a
Yeah, a couple things coming up, some cool stuff. So yeah, we will keep everyone notified. And again, You can go to eyeofthespirits.com, my website, or Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley, my Facebook page. Anything we're doing is going to be on there. And you can also stay tuned for Mary Amy's newly almost going to be released book. Hopefully we're going to see that we're going to see that before the end of the year or what?
Oh, I would think by the end of the summer. Okay, so
nice.
We have April 3rd, we have Grethel C. Barajo, and she's light language. She is unbelievable. Encoded, what's it called? It's online. She has thousands of viewers for this. Encoded frequency. Then we have April 10th, we have Viana. She's the author of the Dragon Spirit Guide, and she's a crystal expert. Then in April, we have Shayna Blackmore, and I think we might have Psychic Evelyn from Scotland. I think because, let's see, yeah, she wants to do it. So we have her coming on, and then hopefully I'll get Mujin Choi, who's a magnetic chakra healer in the spring. June. So that's what we have tonight.
We have lots of exciting stuff coming up for you.
MaryAmyOfficial.com, and you can find Michael at eyeofthespirits.com, and you can go to our Facebook page and like it. And it's the new name is Two Psychics Podcast. I apologize for losing my voice tonight.
It's all good. You made it through another episode of Two Psychics. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Everyone be great. Be well. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good night.